Good morning. We're here to have a fireside chat with one of our leaders, a familiar face when it comes to luxury. We're here with Sandeep Walia, our Chief Operating Officer for the Middle East. Let's hear what he has to say about himself, his career choices, and some elements that you can take away as part of overall luxury career path within Marriott.
Good morning, Candice. Thank you for taking out the time. Look forward to the chat, actually.
Which is your first and most favorite brand and why?
Favorite, all children are equal, but let's go to the first part of that question. I joined Marriott, actually, interestingly, in August, exactly 17 years back. And I joined with the Ritz-Carlton brand.
Wow, 17 years.
17 years. Short 17 years. But I must say it was like love at first sight. I fell in love with the Ritz-Carlton brand. And I think there were a lot of things which came together for me. I think the whole culture of focus on the ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen, and that kind of ethos, which actually now, when you look at it, it kind of is in all brands. It's just put together in a different manner. But that culture of saying equal respect, the fact that we have a credo card, which is like a GPS of wherever you want to go, and if there's a confusion while you're at work, you look at that and you know where to go. And what really fascinates me, Candice, is that 17 years later, the credo card is the same. Lots has happened since then, besides my black hair into gray hair. We've had COVID, we've had different kind of financial and economical kind of cycles, but it's still as relevant as it used to be.
Do you still carry your credo card?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yes, it's in my bag, of course, because there are a lot of credo cards there now.
You have to share the love with all your children.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's where it started for me. But I have to say that partially it's also because my first GM role was that of in a Ritz-Carlton, and I think first hotel GM is like your first baby, if I may say that. So I think that was also part of it. But having then kind of grown into a regional role, I would say I started to enjoy other luxury brands as well. At that time, Bulgari was one which we had partnered, and we just had one at that time in Milan. I think the detailing, the whole design, everything coming together is awesome. The fact that at that time we started the Edition brand, which has proved the fact that luxury and lifestyle can walk together. But no, it's interesting, and I think what's interesting is today when we look at the Milux, we have 7 brands, about 470, 480 hotels, and there is something for everybody. And I think that's exciting.
Very true, very true. You spoke about your 17 years career and the fact that a lot of brands have influenced you right from your first love to the detailing of Bulgari, and then Edition offering a very different sort of approach to hospitality, if I may. You also made some amazing career choices. Today you are the chief for Middle East and leading a large region, a region that has also led recovery when it came to luxury. So tell us a little bit about crossroads you have been in your career and some of the choices you've made, and what sort of inspired you when it's come to those choices.
Sure. I think 3 big things I would bucket them into. One is, I think our industry, and I'm a firm believer, our industry is about people and relationships. You know, end of the day, let's look at our company, Marriott. 30 brands, 8,200 hotels, the last I read. And we don't own or lease many. I mean, in Middle East, we have none.
Sure.
In Europe and Asia, we have a few. What we own is brands. And who brings these brands to life? It's people.
True.
And therefore, if the focus is not on people, then whom? So also the fact that we can't be everywhere. The GMs can't be everywhere. The VPs can't be everywhere. None of the roles can be everywhere with every guest. Who actually make it happen is our people. So the focus on people, I think, is the key. And that's something which I've had whether I was an F&B or a GM or in different positions. And I think it's paid off because I think we focus on people. Like Mr. Marriott says, keep your people happy, they'll keep the guest happy, and the guests will come back. So I think that really summarizes what I truly believe in. And I think the second part is the relationships. We often are asked this question, so what's the secret formula of a successful hotel? And yes, we talk about service, we talk about product, we talk about location, but I think relationships are key too. There are a lot of choices every city has, every country has, but a lot of people choose because of a relationship, either with that hotel, with somebody in that hotel, or even if it's being booked through somebody, that's a relationship involved. So I think people and relationship would be my first bucket, which I would say one is focused on, I would continue to, and I would say anybody in this space should be doing. The second I would say is balance. A balance between micro and the macro. And what I mean by that, I mean, we need to be hands-on as leaders. There's no doubt in our industry that you need to be connected to the guest, connected to your people, and you need to be hands-on. But equally, you need to have the macro picture and make sure that you kind of keep zoning out and looking at the bigger picture and looking at how strategically things need to be done. To make this real, as an example for you, Candace, I know you go to parties and dance often. I think it's like you're on the dance floor dancing with people, but then there are times you kind of either going to the bar or just stepping back and just looking at the dance floor people dancing. And I think it's that zoning in, dancing with your people, and then zoning out and looking at it.
Sure. And
I think that leads somewhere to a bit of a kind of a situational leadership. You could be hands-on leader, you could be strategic leader, but I think that balance is key. Sure. So I would say that's the second, which I've tried to kind of keep reminding myself to do, and I think that's helped. I think the third I would say is to get out of a comfort zone and just take risks. I still remember that it was very comfortable. I started with back in India with Oberoi Hotels, and it was very comfortable, but I just felt it was time to go out of the country and experience something. Got me out of the comfort zone, but I think it helped. It brought a whole cultural understanding of how different countries work, how different businesses are. The fact then to kind of take that first step and join Marriott, which I'm so happy about 17 years later. The fact that there was an opportunity in Moscow, and I still remember when I said, "Oh, I'm excited, I'm going to Russia," people said, "What excites you?" It's like, it's cold people, it's expensive. But today, some of my best friends are Russian friends, and people are people. So I think just taking a risk, taking a chance. Growth comes not necessarily in the form of a ladder. I think it comes in zigzag ways.
Correct.
Would be something I would kind of...
So you would encourage people to say, get out of your comfort zone, get out of your hometowns, look outside, the world is large, explore.
Absolutely, yes. And be a lifelong learner. It's I think learning, or I did my executive MBA about 5 years back. It was a two-year program, and I still remember, sitting and saying, would it really help me? I mean, do you really need an MBA in hotels?
Yes.
And the answer is not really, but I think every opportunity one gets to learn, it's like a lottery ticket. If you buy a ticket, would you win?
Correct.
If you don't buy it, well, zero chances.
You never know.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. So yes. I think that somewhere is important too.
So we spoke about the dancing piece, and that leads me to my next question. When you're not working, and currently your schedule is pretty busy to say the least, what do you do? How do you unwind? How do you zoom out? What do you do to zoom out? Do you dance?
No, I'm not a good dancer for sure. You'll find me more at the bar looking at others and having a drink. But I think what really relaxes me is actually, interestingly, a lot of things connected to our industry. So often when somebody asks, if you had to go back in time, what would you do again? I would say I would do this all over again.
Wow,
hotels.
that's amazing.
And that's because I think what relaxes me is trying new restaurants, dining in different cuisines. So kind of trying new restaurants would be something I would do. Of course, reading and watching movies would be a part of it. A secret, Candice, I love spas. And somewhere I think travel.
Yes.
Travel is a good disconnect for me.
Yes.
Recently I was in Kenya, in Masai Mara, just to kind of get there, be with those animals and just disconnect with the world.
In the wild.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to disconnect. So travel is a big one for me.
Any new restaurants outside our group that really sort of stayed with you saying, wow, this is really good. This is something that our teams need to experience, visit? Anything out there recently visited?
The last was actually, interestingly, it's been in different hotels. Like, in Dubai, it's been different restaurants, and most of the restaurants are in hotels. But I'll go back to my Kenya trip. We were in Masai Mara, and you're in between this jungle with nothing. And we were kind of doing this long safari, and the ranger said, "Do you want to take a break?" And we said yes, and we got off, and which you can't normally do, but this was a particular safe zone. We got down, and suddenly a table and 2-3 chairs appeared with food that they had brought back. So
how nice.
It wasn't about just the food. I think it was just the whole ambience and that experience that one took away. So I would say that was a great one-table restaurant I last remember.
Oh wow, that sounds very special.
Yes, it was, absolutely.
We know your love for luxury. We know that given your 17 plus years with Marriott in luxury and even prior, luxury comes to you quite easily. That's what you understand and that's what you love. What would you say are those key elements to be a true luxury operator beyond the cliches? You've done that for most of your career. So anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I would say for one, being a good luxury leader, you need to have the heart of an innkeeper and the brain of an entrepreneur. What do I mean by that? Innkeeper, I mean, end of the day, our industry started with innkeeping, right? Travelers used to be traveling, they would get tired, they would stop at a particular place for the night. The host, normally the couple, would actually take out the time to have a clean room, make sure they engaged, cooked a fresh meal, had a good dinner with the particular person resting, engaged, had a good laugh, made sure they were comfortable, and in the morning the traveler left and it followed with the next one. And as it evolved and a few of the innkeepers kind of started to have more rooms, yes, they engaged with their own team as a family, and they worked as a family, and it was a very well engaged, energized kind of a business. And I think today a luxury operator needs to do the same. He or she needs to make sure that there is a very strong connect between the guest and the operator, or all the team members, the host, the ladies and gentlemen, whatever we call our associates in every brand, but they are very well engaged and connected with the guest coming in. I think every guest needs to be treated individually. It needs to be absolutely personalized. He or she needs to have the hotel as a family, that they're all together, know each other. There's a sense of engagement. They're empowered. And they're empowered to connect with these guests as if that leader would connect with each and every guest, which he can't or she can't.
Correct.
But each employee or associate or lady or gentleman would. And therefore they're empowered to kind of create these experiences, or the wow moments we call them. And then when they do that, recognize that, so that it's kind of a bit of a circle, and there's a sense of achievement every time they're looked after a guest. I think that detailing, that personalization, that looking after the small details is kind of key. So I would say I think every luxury leader needs to have a heart of a innkeeper.
Sure.
But at the same time, I think the same leader needs to have a mind of an entrepreneur. What do I mean by that? We need to make sure that the leader is connected with the outside world. What's happening in terms of trends? What are others doing? What's happening in the F&B space? And making sure that the hotel is very relevant,
Sure.
right? Besides that emotional connect, there's also what are the offerings in that hotel. He or she is very innovative in terms of what's being done outside, and therefore kind of trying to lead in that market space, being creative, bringing new things on the table. So I would say if a leader to be successful in luxury, it's a heart of an innkeeper and the mind of an entrepreneur.
So almost a combination of being very hands-on, knowing their guests, but at the same time, really having a finger on the pulse when it comes to creativity,
Absolutely.
innovation.
And what's happening in the market, right? I think, for example, food and beverage has become, I think, even more important today than it was yesterday. It always was. But I think a lot of travelers, a lot of guests today are choosing hotels because of the F&B space. Now, to keep the food and beverage relevant,
Yes.
you need to know what's outside and be innovative. So I think both of
100%.
that.
Okay. You spoke a lot about leader, the fact that leader is so important at a hotel level. And over the years, you've probably dealt with so many different leaders, both at a GM level, but also as the executive committee or the leadership under the leader. And you also probably interviewed many. So has there been an instance, or has there been something that has stayed with you in terms of what a GM should not do or not be in terms of that innovation or creativity or hands-on that you spoke about earlier?
Yes. And I think for me, the biggest alarm is when you see a tennis player versus a football player in that leader or person. What do I mean by that? I think our industry is a football game. You need to operate as a team. We spoke about empowerment and the fact that as a leader, or whether it's a GM or executive committee member or leading a discipline, you can't be everywhere.
Sure.
You need to rely on your team, and the team needs to think similar, and you need to be playing a football game. I'm not saying tennis is a wrong game, but it's just that this is not a tennis game. You can't be somebody who's playing the game alone or is on a different platform. So I would say if one sees that, I think that's an alarm. For me, another alarm is, and I think sometimes it gets confused, arrogance and luxury. And I think they're totally opposite. There was a phase in between, I think being arrogant was like luxury, but I would say being humble is the new luxury.
Yes.
Connecting with people, having that emotional connect with your own people, with the guests, requires a certain amount of being humble and calm versus being arrogant and that tennis player who's all alone. So I would say there are a few things which kind of spark off that for me. And also I would say that I want to be careful how I say this, but I think the whole packaging and the whole demeanor of a leader in luxury needs to be well put together. You often see with your eyes first and then listen to the person. And I think the whole packaging needs to come together. The presence needs to be there.
So we keep hearing that in the post-pandemic world, the guest has changed to a certain extent.
Sure.
You've been extensively traveling across our hotels. You as a guest as well, you have probably made some changes in the way you consume our hotels and certain public spaces. What do you believe our GMs or our operators should be looking at when it comes to that guest focus in luxury?
One, I would say there's a huge amount of mix happening today between business and leisure, right? And I think it gets elevated in the luxury space. People are traveling for work. They've started to travel, but they're taking out that time, that qualitative time or the me time, right? That's why a lot of our city luxury hotels should be focused on having spa, for example, so that people can take out their time and kind of find time for what they want to do. And that's an ask. There are a lot of guests today asking for, where is the spa in a city hotel? equally so when they're going on leisure, they're not disconnected with business because they're kind of having this bit of, if I may say, blurring of the lines happening. For example, the Wi-Fi connection needs to be absolutely perfect in a resort too. So I think that two are coming together and we need to be focused on that. The second I would say is there are guests coming more with families. They're spending more time. One, because they've decided to take lesser number of trips, but spend more time or a longer time. And that automatically means you're looking at the food and beverage options, right? A lot of times they're treating the hotel as a destination in itself versus it just being a place to sleep.
Sure.
And when you're doing that, you're kind of looking at having everything in the same hotel ecosystem, whether it is a spa, whether it's a food and beverage. So I think those things are becoming even more important. So what we have in terms of food and beverage needs to be for sure more relevant. Something which we'd already started to see in our design or how we kind of brought the brand to life.
Yes.
Initially, we used to say years back, we used to say it needs to be consistent, right? It needs to be the same. If I'm going to a X branded hotel, it needs to be the same kind of a room, cookie cutter. But today, there needs to be a sense of place. I think that's got even further, so to speak, speeded up or needs more focus, that we're creating an experience. For example, in the Ritz-Carlton world, we call it scenography. In St. Regis, we are enacting it in different ways. But whatever we're using the brand, or whichever the brand might be, we need to make it that it belongs or feels like I've come to an X city.
So design is important, you'd say, as our hotels look at new builds or even renovation to have that sense of place?
Absolutely, yes. It cannot be the same looking room as it used to be years back. I think that people want to see something local in the room as well because they're spending more time.
Sure. And any changes you're saying that they should be looking at as they look at design in their rooms? Anything from a guest experience point of view, whether it's dining or spa, anything that they should be looking at, or fitness?
I think one, yes, all of the points you mentioned, people are looking at that me time more. So the spa is becoming more important, or the wellness is becoming more important. I think activation has become more important, and we need to do that. You go to hotels which have because of the certain amount of product capability. So when you're renovating, you have limited space to do the wellness area or the spa.
Yes.
But the enacting is very important to have the fact that every morning there's a yoga session,
yes,
or there are some activities happening. People are actually looking for that more. They're coming and saying, so what do you have tomorrow in the morning in the wellness space? I think that's becoming important. The fact that they're spending more time in the hotel, the room or the suite is becoming their space. And I think we need to keep innovating or being creative in seeing how we make it more personalized to them.
Okay.
Recently one of the hotels we were experimenting that how if Candace checks into one of our own hotels, how suddenly the room would get activated to your temperature, what you prefer, or lighting or music. I think those kind of things would need to also come into the play when you're doing the design. So a lot of emotional, a lot of service related are being done as we speak.
Yeah.
But when we're doing renovations, I think we need to bring in technology so both can talk to each other.
Great. So using the best of the two worlds and really focusing or honing in on personalization even more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're in the last segment now, the most important as we sort of wrap up. What is that one thought you would like to leave our luxury operators of tomorrow with as we wind up our conversation today?
I would say passion. I would say that the luxury leaders need to be so engaged and motivated by what they're doing that it should be almost that the passion is oozing out. And let me take an example. You take hot water, and at 99 degrees, it's just hot water. You put your hands, you would burn it. somebody told me. But when you heat that water for 1 degree more, it becomes steam. And Candice, when I was younger, trains run on steam or ran on steam. That's the difference that 1 degree makes to that hot water, which is destructive to constructive. And I would say that one thing, or that 1 degree brought to, we need to bring to ourselves. What is that one thing more we are going to do every week, or what is that one guest more we are going to engage with, or the one activity more, or the one touch point more we are going to look at, to keep reinventing ourselves every day, every week, one step at a time, would be something which would be key. And even at my role, when I look at luxury in Middle East, I would say that the big majority of our hotels fall under that space, but we'll have to take every hotel one at a time, go step by step, and make sure that we are able to make a difference.
Yes.
So for example, today we're looking at quality managers, right? We're looking at quality managers because the GM has so many things to do. Yes, I'm saying we need to have him or her focused on that one thing more, but it's one thing. Whereas we need the anchor points in every hotel to say, I am focused only on one thing, and that's quality. It's quality of culture, it's the whole analytics, it's the verbatims, it's to see that I'm driving that whole hotel to have the culture focus on the guest. So we're looking at doing this one thing for all our hotels. And this is one step in the right direction. So that's what I mean. We need to keep taking these one steps to get to our eventual goal. So that one thing more, or 1 degree more, would be that passion and effort too.
Thank you. It's been great chatting with you. It's great to actually spend some quality time with you versus working on a certain project or a certain opening. It's good to hear you talk about your passion for luxury, your passion about doing that one thing extra. So we hope you enjoyed this segment. We hope you're thinking of that one thing more as you look at your own roles in your hotels, at your own teams, and we hope this was inspiring enough. Thank you.
Thank you, and wish each one of you all the success.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you, Candice.